Evergreen is a community of young worship leaders who are committed to a fruitful worship ministry, as well as their own spiritual formation and emotional health.
For more than 10 years, Engaged Worship has been creating resources and providing training for local churches. Now, as we continue to do that, we believe God has drawn our attention to a new challenge, and that is to support a new generation of worship leaders as they set out in church ministry. God is worthy of our worship, always has, always will be. And increasingly, churches are growing in awareness that gathered worship can also be a catalyst for discipleship, for real life transformation, for knowing God deeply, for mission, for so many other things. And that is great. But often that can also mean that these churches then place quite a high and often unhealthy expectation on the shoulders of the worship leader. Many of these worship leaders are still quite young, are still growing in maturity in their own leadership skills, and also just practical things like boundaries or knowing as a worship leader what is my job and what is really only God's job. I know this from my own experience of having worked in a church, and I can say that there were many times where I really would have appreciated a space where I could just come to and be refreshed in my own personal relationship with God. A space where I could also meet with other people who were in a similar situation as me. And this is exactly why we are so excited about Evergreen. It's because we want to provide exactly these sorts of spaces. It's because we have seen a need for a more healthy and a more sustainable worship ministry. And we want to do what we can to see that become a reality.
As I said at the beginning, Evergreen is a community of worship leaders, and we believe that the best way to do community is to actually be together in real life. That's why our main focus is running regular retreat days. This is where we'll spend plenty of time in worship, in prayer, listening to each other's stories and listening to the Word of God, and there'll be time for input and practical wisdom on how to stay fresh in ministry. Besides these in-person retreats, we also want to connect with people online. We want to be able to encourage each other in our scattered contexts and to build on the relationships from the in-person retreat days. We have loads more plans for the future, but whatever we do, we wanted to serve one of three aims. Abide. Spending time in God's presence and being nurtured by Him. Share. Listening to each other's stories and encouraging one another, being real with one another. Equip. Receiving practical tools and wisdom to encourage each other whilst we're apart.
If you are a worship leader and you are under the age of 35-ish and you are in a role of responsibility in your church, then we would absolutely love it if you were to join us. You can join our mailing list in order to receive updates and news for coming retreat days. The link will be somewhere around this video. If you are on social media, look out for Evergreen Worship UK. Or if you just want to find out a bit more about us as an organization, then visit engageworship.org. So if Evergreen is something that you'd like to be a part of, or if you still have questions, we would love to hear from you.